know what I'm doing this morning. Blessings, blessings, and grand risings. Let me do a sound check. Make sure y'all can hear me. Okay, good, perfect, perfect. Blessings, blessings, and grand risings, everyone. You're here with Lady Grace, Miss Grace, in the morning. We're going to talk about it today. I think we're going to have an action-packed session today. This subject right here, I'm official expert. And I want to say thank you so much to the creator of the Lord above that today I can actually talk about what I'm an expert in, okay? And that's healthcare. All right, so we want to talk about today, is Robert Kennedy going to sell America out under Trump? There is a lot of chaos going on right now in the Trump administration, and I actually want to talk about it. And I'm going to keep talking about these different issues going on in the Trump administration because we're living this out. Okay, so today's going to be for information, educational purposes only. I'm going to hit a lot of people, their feelings. Some of you guys may be concerned when y'all finish talking, listening to this live, but I just want to know that y'all to know that God got you. I'm just being honest. All right, so as you see, there is some rumbling in the jungle going on in the CDC and the Trump administration. So let's just start off with playing this video with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And let's just get a little background of what's going on before I start talking, because I got a mouthful for this particular subject. This subject changed my life. Check this out.
The White House today, the president is flexing his executive powers on multiple fronts, including revoking Secret Service protection for Kamala Harris. And that comes amid the upheaval at the CDC. And as NBC's Yamiche Alcindor shows us, the directors and top leaders suddenly resigned.
Chaos continues at the CDC as flu and COVID season quickly approach. The White House announcing Jim O'Neill will be interim acting head of the CDC. He is currently the Deputy Health Secretary and an ally of Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He has no medical training, but worked at the health department in the George W. Bush administration. The announcement comes a day after the White House fired Susan Menares, the woman President Trump chose just last month to lead the CDC. And after at least 4 top health officials at the agency resigned in protest.
I just saw science really being compromised, and I was concerned about scientific integrity, particularly when it comes to things like vaccines.
Menares clashed with Kennedy on vaccine policy. The former acting CDC director explaining the disagreement.
He asked her to remove the leaders from CDC, and she was asked to approve, endorse recommendations coming out of the advisory committee on vaccines that she did not believe represented the best science.
One of the infectious disease experts who quit said he was optimistic when Kennedy introduced himself in a speech to the CDC.
And that's not what's played out. So I'll say that I am not able to trust the secretary or his judgment.
Kennedy, a longtime vaccine skeptic, fired all advisory committee members in June. Many of his replacements are vaccine critics. Now, Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, who is also a doctor, is calling for the advisory committee to postpone its meeting next month. The senator writing in part, quote, "If it proceeds, any recommendation should be rejected as it lacks legitimacy." All of this happening as President Trump's battle with the Federal Reserve intensifies.
Okay, so let me stop right here, because I know I've been saying a lot of things are a distraction, but Mark, I'm going to have to say I agree with you. Y'all know I'm a separatist, so I just deal with truth and fact and matter, and the girls are fighting. Something is going down in the CDC for a reason. Being a healthcare provider who actually was a COVID nurse throughout the whole time, I can speak on this from the inside. The COVID vaccine, the data that they're talking about, that data is severely compromised. Let's talk about it. Oh, Trump lovers gonna love me today. I'm just gonna be honest, and some people are gonna really be like, what? Because what I know, first and foremost, we have to keep in mind who owns these vaccines and the patent to the vaccines. That's first and foremost. There was a lot of pressure put on the administration to, one, and this is related to Trump though, warp speed the vaccine out. That's what makes me don't trust Trump. There's too many untrustworthy factors, because even though the mandates went through with Biden, the actual warp speed was actually Trump. Okay, so that really turned me off, because I'm like, yo, why are they trying to warp speed a messenger RNA vaccine? Let's talk about it today, because that's not a regular vaccine. I'm so grateful that today years old, I can talk on YouTube about this without getting a tag of medical information. Before I keep going down this route, I need y'all to look in the description after this video. You're gonna see I have a Rumble page called Nurses to Nurses. Went throughout the vaccine. I literally put out at least 200 videos about the vaccine, about messenger RNA, deep dive videos so people can understand metabolism of a cell, what a cell is made of, how the vaccine was going to actually work. And once I figured out that the vaccine was supposed to be entering our nucleus within our cells, our nucleus, and playing as a form of messenger RNA, actually giving our cells codons to make DNA strands. Now, this was before I really knew what was going on throughout the inoculation. That was the first thing that came to me. Like, what do you mean that you're going to introduce something into our cells? Now, I need you guys to know the difference, because this is very important, and I'm grateful that they're putting these things on pause. As a healthcare provider, I never was comfortable giving vaccines before the messenger RNA, because I have seen what it have done. I have seen actually an elder woman, she had a bad reaction to the flu vaccine one time, and I really was trying to kind of, as a healthcare provider, we cannot convince you not to do something. But I always try to educate my patients enough that they're making good decisions. So when I first saw this elderly person that was there with sepsis, UTI, all this other stuff going on, and then we wanted to give her a vaccine when she first got better, I said, I don't think this is a good idea. As soon as I gave her that vaccine, fever broke out, heart rate went up. She had so many other health conditions too, and other diagnoses that needed to be followed up. And when I had to literally do an emergency like epi, less than 5 minutes after giving that flu vaccine that year to that elderly person, I knew I should have listened to my intuition as a nurse. So I'm going to be honest, people may not like it, but I never pushed it. Coming into the hospitals, they will make us ask you guys, have y'all take y'all flu vaccine? And if y'all said no, it will literally be right on y'all chart. That's how, when I'm like, you can't do that. So it'll be times I'll come in like, hey, you ordered a flu vaccine, I gotta give it to you. So they be like, I ain't ordered that. I was like, well, it's on your chart. This is how they kind of force, soft mandate these vaccines to people, because people were not taking it. Okay, this is what I experienced. This subject is for me, guys. I'm glad this is another therapy session. I'm gonna have to say I'm agreeing with what's going on right now until we get this thing underfoot. So that was my first experience, like a real bad experience. But from there, it was no. And I never took flu vaccines myself, being in healthcare for up 10 years, since my kids, before my kids was born. My son is 21, about to be 22. So I was always in the healthcare field, in front of the nurse, in a nursing home, things like that, and I never took it. And I'm just being honest, and I'm telling you this, guys, not to disturb you, but you gotta be educated, and I'm so glad we could talk about this today. So let's go on to the messenger RNA. I'm like, okay, this is totally different from a standard vaccine. I didn't even want to take a standard vaccine, and I'm talking about from my perspective. You know that usually the vaccines is a strand of the flu or whatever they're inoculating you with, something from prior years, prior assessments. So if you're getting the flu vaccine this year, is literally the strand from last year. It's just trying to give your body a chance to recognize some part of the virus, so at least you can fight it this year, so it allegedly won't be as hard. But my thing is, the regular vaccines are much different than the C19. Okay, I do apologize. The regular flu is very different from the C19, even though we know that it's a component of it if you did your research. Like this was some manipulated, how can I say, COVID flu, and I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist. It has to do something with components of HIV. Oh my God. Why I say that? Stop, y'all. I have to talk from facts as well. When we first started being introduced to the COVID, and this was me, myself, as a person that's just a researcher, want to know what's going on, knowing that these healthcare facilities don't have my back, especially as a traveler. I need to know what the hell to do. The C19 in itself has more receptors than a regular flu vaccine. That's first and foremost. So let's keep that in mind. Think about these receptors. But what I noticed at the beginning that they were using HIV CDC prior studies to piggyback off of to learn more about the COVID instead of just only using the COVID studies because COVID is not new. They were going that route. Go look that up. This is what you're gonna find on my Nurses to Nurses page on Rumble. I had to go to Rumble to have freedom of speech, okay? I had to just get it off of my chest. So with that being said, this is where I get this, even any concept of HIV. Not saying that it was mixed because there's so many different theories, because I was following a lot of the healthcare providers who were called anti-vaxxers. I even went to seminars up here, and I met a few of them. Robert Kennedy wasn't that one, but who was it? Who's the other guy that was in? It was. He was there. I'm just thinking about Robert Kennedy was at the COVID convention that I went to up here, somewhere in Marietta or Gwinnett, because I remember his voice, and I was really still trying to figure out what was wrong with his voice. And that time, I have just mentioned this to one of my favorite people. I was like, literally, I was the only black person in this place. I lie to y'all not. It's not a joke. I'm not just bringing up a color thing. But when I went in, they treated me fine. They were nice. It was nothing about that. One of the things that they were talking about was some of the treatments, the natural way, natural immunity. And that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about, natural immunity. What could we do to build ourselves up to protect ourselves from this? Because what I noticed as a healthcare provider, wherever you was the sickest or your weakness, that's where the COVID came. What do I mean? It was a few GI issues. There were people who had preliminary GI issues that was connected to that. It wasn't as much. Respiratory issues as well. Those people not all was like asthmatic or things like that, but they had low bill of health, meaning that they did not live properly. I had a young person, like 24 years old, young Caucasian man that came in, and I'm like, what are you doing here? How did you get so sick? We have him on a non-rebreather. He was like, it just came out of nowhere, this, that, and the third. He was like, but I know I haven't been living right the last 8 months. I put on this amount of weight and my blood pressure went up, and I started noticing trends. And I'm like, well, these people does have preconditions that's making them more susceptible. Bump just the studies. I'm living this. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, boom. Now I'm seeing this. This is what I'm telling you guys. This is why I think it's very important for them to stop this COVID shit and the vaccines and really do some deep dive research. So then I started noting changes of behavior pattern with these people. And that was probably like 2-3 months into it. They were acting erratic. They were acting crazy. You see what I'm saying? I'm like, what is this? This is like, I started calling it COVID head. Because what happened was my patients who were like him, 23, young people who knew they needed certain treatments, meaning just oxygen. You see what I'm saying? Staying calm, staying hydrated. They were giving me pushback. Like pushback meant like one time I was leaving out, and then I'm gonna move back onto the like statistics and Trump. I was leaving out of work, and the guy, I was tired, long as day, and the guy just pulled off his mask, and he was a trouble patient. He wasn't my patient, but I knew he was trouble because we were all taking time going to check on him, making sure he keep his mask because he hated it. Anybody who wear BiPAP know that it's very hard to sleep with, and we had to put our patients on BiPAP to force oxygen exchange. in their lungs. Man, went in there, that man ripped that thing off. I'm walking out the door with my bag, like, yeah, I'm done with this. I'm tired. He pulled his thing off, his oxygen dropped. Whoosh. I'm like, damn. I can't walk by because I'm a nurse. This ain't my patient, but literally ran right in there. No phone, can't call his stupid nurse. I'm in there struggling with him, like, sir, put this back on your face. No, get off of me. Fucking bitch. And then he like, I can't breathe. And then all of a sudden, we about to do CPR. This is the shit we went through with the COVID. So I need you guys to know how passionate I am about this particular subject. This shit changed my whole life because of the way the CDC and the government was handling this. Every damn day, they were changing what was the protocols. Y'all know what y'all was going through outside, but what I was going through inside, I didn't know what to expect when I got to work. I was like, what's the protocol today? One day, you can't go in a COVID patient room, 2 COVID patient rooms without changing your mask. I'm like, your outside mask, cool, whatever. Well, you don't have to change your outside mask. You just keep the N95, and then if once they get regular, you throw it in. What's going on? As the budgetary funds started coming in and things started changing, policies kept changing. I'm like, what are we doing? Are we basing this on money's coming in? At first, I didn't know what was it based on, but it was not based on logic. I'm like, none of this is based on logic. Y'all not triaging these patients correctly. Y'all have us with mixed patient class, meaning I have 3 COVID patients and 2 regular patients, and I have to go back and forth. I'm not scrubbing down, scrubbing out. You take your stuff off and everything, but when you have mixed populations, we was fucking spreading it. Not to even talk about what happened when I went to New York. Long Island, where they had those trucks, they were really filling those fucking trucks up. What I saw was a lack and lapse in the system. The COVID was real. Something was going on. People were getting sick. But what I noticed was that the only issue was that it was a big influx coming into the hospital of the same caliber of disease, and we weren't ready for that. And that's what they told you guys. We didn't have 100 BiPAPs, 100 this, because we were looking for mixed populations. We got mixed treatment. So now we need all of these things. Now, when it comes to the ventilators, I would say this. The ventilators were needed. Hold on, and I'm gonna get my charger. The ventilators were needed for certain populations of patients when they literally just got too bad, and we had to put them on a ventilator to let their lungs rest and try to give them whatever antibiotics that we thought of at the time that was correct. They were fighting the hospitals to not use ivermectin. I'm gonna be honest. Once or twice I used ivermectin towards the end of COVID when they got lax, but I figured ivermectin was going to be more suitable, but my actual clinical experience, I can't tell you that. They had a drug called remdesivir. That remdesivir did numbers on people. If you had heart disease, you had issues, that remdesivir by the 3rd day had your heart rate down to 40s. It had a stress. Y'all going to see a little stress Grace right here. So literally, about the 3rd day, if I get reported and they be like, oh, you got this COVID patient and they on remdesivir, I'll be like, oh my God, this is going to be a problem. Because we know by some time of the night that remdesivir was having the people's heart rate down. That's another thing. They clinically said that remdesivir would have been good for COVID. And then later on, we were noticing, and I've been there because I'm such a fucking geek, but I can't talk to people even until I'll be like, this has high rate of kidney failure. And they'd be like, oh, Lashley, okay. I'm like, but the side effects is this. This is me, literally. Any nurse I walk with, it's like, yo, you straight the brain. You ridiculous. But they don't process this stuff because a lot of nurses are just giving treatments. And the pathophysiology is gone. Does that make sense? So these were some of the things that were going on. Give me 1 second, y'all. Thank you for being here. Please hit the like button. I'm just going to get my charger. This is a very important conversation. I'm going to have to say, like I said, I agree with the step that they're taking right now because shit is real. Give me 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second. All right. Sorry, I had to just make sure that my charger is on. If y'all can hear me, make sure y'all put it on, because sometimes I do stuff in the phone, just go mute. So basically what you're seeing right now is this is a fight of the wits, okay? Now you have warp speed coming in. I don't know if Trump initiated all of the deals, but these deals were made when Biden came in, that the mandate was pushed because of the deals. If you look at the Pfizer deals, you go to my other page, y'all. It will get you wrapped up. If you look at the Pfizer deals, they were trying to push states to actually use government assets to back their purchase. They wasn't giving us this experimental emergency drug. Please remember, it was an experimental emergency drug for at least the first 7 months that they did not have definitive clinical knowledge. And they kept saying, and this is where it made me feel some way, and I had to learn about data and really go in and like, oh, that's when they say that they grade on a learning curve. You ever got a grade on a learning curve and you went from a D to a C plus? This is how they do a lot of their case study. They do curves as well as they use smaller populations to test for certain things. But what I noticed at the beginning of COVID, and y'all noticed too, and I couldn't believe it, some people noticed, the studies was based on lab rats. They were based on rats and mice, and we were literally the first human studies. They did small pockets of groups, which were very small. But honestly, the statistics behind there, the data wasn't even complete or precise. We're going to talk about it because I really was like, this is out of pocket. The CDC, whoever left, fired, whatever they need to do, drain that motherfucker and start all again, because they had us on a roller coaster ride. One day you put your mask on, next day it don't work, next day 50 feet, it was out of control, thanks to the guidelines of the CDC. So for these people to be leaving or whatever, not to be on the same page, we need to keep our eye on it, because the CDC actually passed a whole lot of detrimental treatments towards us. And it's so sad, as me as a healthcare provider have to say this to you. This is what made me want to walk away from being a nurse, but I love nursing, but I cannot work in the B system because of this shit that I knew it was not correct. And then you talk to your coworkers, I can't talk to so many people, you don't know them, but you talk to certain people back then, I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't gonna happen. Towards last year, before I walked away, and that whole year before that, that's when I was having nurses coming out talking reckless. Like, I'm not taking that shit no more. I got sick as hell, da-da-da. At first, they said, we gotta take it, da-da-da-da. I'm gonna tell y'all, I did not take the COVID vaccine. I was out of work for 3 months because I did not take the COVID vaccine. I stand on my faith and I stand on my intuition, and I could not do it. It just did not feel safe to me. I even want my family, and a lot of them took the thing. COVID tore our life apart. I know it did mine. I mean, it broke relationships. People were living in fear. People calling people. They was questioning how could she be a nurse if she didn't take this was my mother. Then she started talking about all types of other shit that had nothing to do, just to find a reason to discredit me. This was going on all over. So I'm gonna have to talk about this today. Please. If the other thing that really scared me, not only that, the statistics and how they grade on a skew in the small populations that they use and say, hey, this was successful, when they only used 100 people, 200 people, and you're rolling this out to billions of people. We're all different ethnicities. We have certain different phenotypes, genotype things. We're from different plateaus in the world. Our bodies are used to digesting things different, processing or metabolizing the sun different. All of that makes a difference on how we approach healthcare. That's what made me uncomfortable with, honestly, the European healthcare system, because one, they experimented on the slaves. Ooh, I hate it. But then two, most of the European medicine is based on Europeans, on what they have given you guys, and it's not really based on a rainbow approach. If you're going to treat different ethnicities and different people, you need to have different ethnicities and different people inside of these case studies. And I'm like, this is not going to work properly. So you have that big factor of the statistics not being on statistics. Go look at my videos. I did a lot of detailed geeky stuff. I had to get it off because there was no way they were telling me that I was tripping. Then you go down the route of, again, this is the first time that anything was introduced into our nucleus of our cell. Go look this up. It was reckless. It was dangerous of the CDC to approve this in emergency use before even implementing anything else. I believe, and India is not the best place in the world. I like India. No shout out to India. No disrespect, but y'all hygiene is different. Y'all cleanliness is different. No disrespect. But in India, they actually had a COVID packet, if I'm not mistaken. And they were sending Tylenol, like blood thinners, what else? Vitamin C, zinc, a few other things in that packet, and it was preventative to stop the person from getting worse. This is where the ventilators came in. When I saw that people were mildly sick, and they were like, okay, you just stay home and just chill or whatever until you get better, and not giving any type of diet treatment. Like, okay, like people knew to take some Tylenol, keep your fever down if you was having fever. But they never said take vitamin C, take zinc, drink water, drink orange juice. I mean, I want to hear some of this stuff, but I'm a nurse, so I do healthcare teaching, me, myself, but not other people. But this was never recommended to the American people. We were shut down. Anytime anybody else said natural immunity, shit was done. You couldn't talk, you couldn't breathe. You was just an anti-vaxxer. That's why I don't go with these technology words that they make up as they go to put us in categories. That's why I don't let none of that shit affect me. I'll be an anti-vaxxer, vaxxer, whatever the fuck you want to, but nothing is going inside the nucleus of my DNA, known as messenger RNA, that is actually synthetic, that you didn't even know would actually metabolize in our cells correctly, leading to it over metabolizing, and then getting to what I see now. We have super cancer. Go look at the statistics from after COVID and that vaccine was given and inoculated on everybody. One of the things that is the long-term outcome that I'm noticing is super cancer. I never, in all of my years, only to like 3 contracts ago, I was in Northside, and it was a Caucasian man that came. He was probably in his 50s. He was so amazing, so nice. His like optimistic and everything, and I'm like, why is he on the progressive care unit? He's walking around and everything. He's like, well, I got my port, I'm getting my treatment or whatever, and this, that, and the third. My port got infected, so I'm gonna get it changed and things like that. This is what's happening. But I'm like, he still don't need to be on the PCU unit. As I go into his chart, he has a prognosis of months. You know how rare it is for doctors to give a prognosis? That's like making a guess when somebody's going to pass away. They usually don't do that. He went lightning speed. Go look up pancreatic cancer. Please go look this up. Went through the roof. Pancreatic cancer is one of the worst dangerous cancers that they have. Go look up stomach cancer as well, but I think there's going to be another factor that actually enhanced this pancreatic and stomach cancer, and I think is this. Y'all like, what's that? This the vaccine and this the damn Ozempic. They fucking experimenting with you guys. This is not a joke. I'm a health and wellness nurse. I consider myself a community nurse and a preventative nurse. So I like to talk about things that's going to prevent you from coming into the hospital and having to deal with that shit. So this is my perspective. So again, now you have Trump and the girls fighting because why? Honestly, I'm going to be honest. Maybe Trump need to cover something up. Trump, they know that this shit was shady. I'm not saying all the statistics was in when he was there, but he looked at the studies or whatever they showed him, and he had all these different pharmaceutical companies that was under Trump bidding to make the best COVID vaccine, and only a few of them got to be in front. Moderna vaccines from the rip, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson was straight hitting people's hearts. Boom, boom. It was infiltrating people's hearts. Y'all remember? where that people were I'm trying to remember that what was the exact diagnosis, but I'm looking at the process because I know exactly what was happening. Basically, what this is what was happening. It was causing a rapid type of heart disease in people who took it. Moderna hit them fast, and you were seeing clots coming fast with Moderna, but we didn't know that it was clots coming with Pfizer. Okay, mind you, all of this is new on the human body. And they're saying it's safe, and that's what killed me because they were right in front of all of us. It's safe, it's safe. I got common sense. Like, how the fuck is this safe? And it never really been tested on humans. We're not lab rats. And these studies are not adequate enough. It's not enough population. And even when it was rolled into the kids, there were no studies on kids. And pregnant women, this was a fucking zoo. COVID destroyed a lot of people's lives and put their health on the line. So what they're seeing now, I'm gonna be honest, is the backflow of what has happened. It's not the end result yet. And I gotta say backflow because it's coming out like doo-doo. It's just real. It's the backflow because they cannot hide it no more. It's really alarming to me. I'm just going to be honest. It's alarming to me how millions of dollars went into the healthcare industry, millions of billions of dollars until today years old, because DEI allegedly they're pushing patients out of the hospital and things. That just don't make sense to me when they made billions in COVID. I'm just going to be honest. A lot of treatments were delayed. I don't know if it was intentionally, but I'm telling you the truth. The further the person went on, the more chances that they would get on that ventilator. Now, I'm not telling you, I want them on the ventilator, the doctors did, but the lack care thereof led to the big use of the ventilators, and people could not recover by that time because the ventilator is not a treatment. That's just a therapy to let your lungs rest and let your lungs heal while we give you other adjacent treatments. So people were still dying rapidly because the COVID took over the body. Like like your immune system wasn't strong enough to fight these little invading soldiers. That's basically what it was. Do you see what I'm saying? This was very terrible, and the CDC is responsible for this shit. That's why I was really happy, kinda, when I saw Robert Kennedy come in, because I was like, yeah. But I'm still skeptical of Robert Kennedy because you know he's on that stuff. He'll tell you, I've been on that stuff. I done blew my brains out. I'm like half of my skull missing because I done sniffed it up. He tell y'all about his history. So that don't mean that he's 100% totally trustworthy. But me as a separatist, the main thing I can teach you is to research your fucking self and stop saying, I did the research when you're listening to other motherfuckers. No, you better listen to somebody who's going to break that down, the pathophysiology. Go to my Rumble page. You're going to see pathophysiology, where I was starting to track the sicknesses that was coming out of the COVID vaccine. So after the vaccine came, we had long COVID where people just couldn't get over it. The shit just kept coming. Imagine having something introduced into your cell, writing codons that's expressing it in your cell. Your cell makes hundreds of thousands of cells in an hour just to replace the dead cells. This is repeatedly happening with the messenger RNA doing its own thing because they don't know. One of the things I asked is how the hell is it going to stop creating? When would it stop? And nobody could never answer that. When would it stop creating the codons for the messenger RNA to turn into a genetic codon to allegedly give you some immune response? Nobody. This is a major lesson for us as Americans too. Because the lesson that you're learning about having so much dependency on your government for political reasons is showing you that that's dangerous. And that's just political. We can't put our total trust into our system with healthcare. I'm just going to be honest. That's the reason why I practice preventative care. I always teach people about their diagnosis in totality and ways to prevent it. And my overall goal is to help people try to wean themselves off of these pills. You know, I can never tell someone, don't do this, don't take your blood pressure pills. But if I could teach you certain ways or certain things, passive weight loss techniques, passive lifestyle changes, that's actually what I do. This is my Thursdays, my nursing days. So now we're gonna move on. I know I'm kind of just talking because this really hit, but I want y'all to listen to this because now they're gonna make it seem like, okay, Trump is just tripping here, and I can't agree with it. I'm just gonna tell you that I'm not gonna be able to agree with this. So over 100 HHS staffers call on Trump to fire Robert Kennedy. That's where we at as of 5 days ago.
Meanwhile, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is facing mounting pressure to step down after major changes to the COVID vaccine policy and shakeups at the CDC.
Dangerous.
Current and former Health and Human Services workers signed a letter accusing Kennedy of putting politics ahead of public health. It comes just days after the CDC director, Suzanne Monterez, was fired by the Trump administration following several high-profile resignations at the agency. Meanwhile, the FDA has now narrowed its COVID vaccination recommendation to only Americans 65 and older, with those with certain health conditions.
And that was what it was supposed to be from the beginning. If they were going to do that, and I'm not saying an experiment on our older population, but that's what should have been rolled out from the beginning. We cannot forget that Pfizer, Moderna, all of these companies were having draconian contracts with the government. So, where we at? 36 minutes. This leads me to say to you guys, I really want y'all to go under the Nurse of the Nurses page. One of my last videos on Rumble I did was actually, I think it was Watts versus the DOD. This vaccine led to the Department of Defense being sued. How? Because if you listen to Trump used the Department of Defense to roll out the warp speed and allegedly the vaccine. That's what made me not trust him totally, because he was like, well, if people don't want to take the vaccine, we have people in those positions that'll make them. He's kind of talking about the service people making us take vaccine. I was like, yo, this is weird. But he got out the house, and then we had the Democrats come in like a full damn lightning train. Mandate, man. What the do you mean? This shit is an experiment. But this Watts versus DOD case basically was, it was a switcheroo. During the first year and a half or so, don't quote me, they were using the non-approved COVID vaccine. And that one was the experimental one. It was a different concoction or whatever it was. Towards, I say, a year and a half, going to 2 years, y'all know that they said that they had a federally approved COVID vaccine. Now, nobody knew the difference, but they were still pushing out the old experimental vaccines on the population. This young boy, which was 18 or 19, he really waited all this time, didn't do activities. Also, this is a Caucasian guy. Yo, I felt so bad for him. I don't know if he was the one that wanted to go ice skating. No, that one died. But he basically needed it to participate in something. He said he was waiting for the real vaccine to come, the one that was actually approved. It was approved. He got the one that wasn't. He ended up dying. Go look up this case. It's Watts, W-A-T-T-S versus DOD. This is based on the COVID vaccine. This is the first person that's brung a lawsuit, and I should look it up to see the outcome, against the Department of Defense because of the switcheroo. They were supposed to stop distributing the old experimental one and give it's called Covetalol, something like that, was the one that was actually approved. Now, I don't know if it was a total messenger RNA based one, but Covetalol was the one that was approved and allegedly found to be allegedly effective for older adults, like it was supposed to, but they was pushing it on the whole world. Let's think about this. Why was they pushing it on the whole world? Because our government was making dirty deals with Big Pharma. This right here, I'm gonna be honest, is gonna be a win for Trump, because that whole CDC need to be wiped the hell out. Let's not forget this. Y'all probably not been aware of this. Go look this up. Go look. This is real facts. I'm trying to tell you. There was a CDC worker here who died, a young black man. He was from, like, he was a top serviceman or something, I remember, but he died under suspicious circumstances of the CDC, just out of the blue. And I think he was working on some type of COVID project. Do you see what I'm saying? These things happen because they're trying to push agendas, trying to line people pockets, and they're not truly trying to take care of the people. I didn't say all of this to scare you guys. I went through this right along with you as a healthcare provider, but you guys have to have more discernment and be less argumentative and actually do the work. This group gang mentality is literally what got us all in these different positions fucked. Just to be real. You hear one person say it, you run with it. That's not what we're here to do. Anything I say, please go research it. And if it's not correct, if it's a mistake, you come back to the video and be like, Grace, you said the wrong thing. Because sometimes I'll be saying wrong stuff. Like, I get the names mixed up. Just real. You know, nobody's perfect. But this is what I want the audience to do. Don't take what I'm saying as, Go look it up. There's a reason. So I will have to say, I'm going to have to respect Trump and Robert Kennedy on this particular note, because this fight needs to fight. This goes into the approval of the brain chip. Do you know that the FDA approved? The FDA and the CDC work together. All the motherfuckers need to be drained. That Elon Musk brain chip, they approved it for testing in humans. Elon Musk got this big ass coin that he's trying to put in people's head. Who does that? What human being think that that's even okay? That's why I'm here with you guys now, and I have my special position in healthcare, because I had to walk away from the bedside because of all of this politics and bullshit. When I left the ICU and PCU, we were looking at CTs of clots longer than this spoon. Imagine your thigh is clots the size of the femoral artery. Go look at the femoral artery. Go look up postmortem clots. We were getting postmortem clots. Modern, I'm saying that word wrong, but it's mortem, like post-death clots. But they were remarkably different. These people were having it before death. They were big as all hell, and we could not dissolve the clots. This is what used to have me stressed out. You had somebody with AFib, they need blood thinners. Then after they took the 8th shot of this shit, how many? I used to hate it. When I was like, okay, so can you tell me your vaccine history? Oh yeah, I'm on my 5th vaccine, 5th COVID shot. I said, 5th? We only 8 months into this thing. I was shocked at the numbers I was hearing. They were pushing this on people into today years old. Y'all should be fucking pissed that y'all noticed for the last 2 years winter nobody talking about take the COVID shot. I don't know how much they pushing it in y'all, but they never made it mandated. Me as a nurse, I did leave the med surge unit. Med surge until they usually make you give those vaccines. When you're in the ICU, PCU, those people are so far gone that we don't really give a lot of those vaccines, because we don't want to interrupt anything, because we on Captain Saberhole right there. I'm just being honest. That's when you're further down and we really have to get you back stable. So I haven't been privy to know if the COVID vaccine is offered in the hospital on those levels, but most likely I do think so. And I do respect that they're stopping the mandate. People, you a vaccine, anti-vaxxers. When I was a kid, we had hard-headed kids. We had kids that they were maybe a little slow, but we put them out there. Everybody play at the same time. We made it fucking happen. We had a little short day with the arm, whatever going on. We was moving. We never had this much volume of autistic kids. We never had this volume of alleged ADHD. Be for real. This is not to exclude. I love my kids. I love everything about autistic kids. They're so beautiful. They're so, like, they learn different. They're so kind. But we did not have this much of a population. Where did it come from? Just tell me where. See, when you go into bachelor's and master's degree programs, we're doing papers. We're doing research. That's what made me get into research. That's what made me, I even had to research why so many patient babies was here on Vincent Trakes out here in Georgia. I think because this is the septic belt and some of the things that happened after the protests, when they burnt the land down, a lot of the land was mixed with feces and soot and things like that. So agricultural wise, people were affected. But I'm just throwing that stuff out there because this is how I think, honestly. I make a crack jokes, do all types of stuff or whatever, but I'm really a geeky. So when I saw this right here, I said, thank you. God is finally giving me more retribution. Because when I go like my original mom, I be like, Mom, you gonna take that vaccine? Motherfucker get quiet. But you literally tore the family apart. Talked about me as being a fake nurse because I said, hey, I call everyone in my family and say, listen, I know y'all be thinking I'm out of pocket because I'm always talking about different stuff, you know, because I'm not carnal. I talk about geeky shit. I said, but I really think that y'all need to possibly slow down and not take this vaccine yet. I'm not taking it. But if whatever y'all want to do, y'all can do. I couldn't even go into detail with messenger RNA to them like I do with y'all because they wouldn't even fucking comprehend it. They didn't even have the brain power to want to comprehend it. You know, sometimes you say stuff and they don't hear you, but they can hear other people. This shit tore people apart and their fucking health. There's many people right now who literally have heart problems right now, who have clots right now. I was following a few of the original vaccine injury patients. One of them was a nurse. I was following her. I have all of this on my Rumble page, so I'm not just talking. Y'all can just go back and watch this shit. It's sad. It's sad. So I think I said enough, guys. I really, if you got anything out of this today, I would say, as a separatist, I'm going to have to agree with Trump and Robert Kennedy on this particular subject. I do think, thank God they didn't go and just wipe all the motherfuckers out like they did with the other FBI, you know, the federal bureau and stuff, wiping people out. But at least they was able to have some conversation to see what page people were on. And obviously you have 1,000 HHS workers that's like, this is not what it is. But honestly, don't let that fool you. You do the statistics, because I think a lot of our people in healthcare are brainwashed and they actually don't do their research. They fucking don't. They just want to keep their jobs. They some bitch asses. Oh, I was mad. Yeah, I was. I healed a lot because I'm like, yo, these people, y'all in healthcare, and y'all see this as a problem. And like I said, towards my last year being at the bedside, I had nurses talking reckless. Like, I ain't taking that shit. Yeah. I had a nurse say this. She said, if my mother or my family turn into a zombie, I'm gonna clank, clank, boom. I said, what? Now y'all know I'm hardcore, hard body Haitian. We in the inside of the back charting and I said, what the? Girl, I'm sorry, I can't even be mad at you though. What the fuck? You talking about blowing your own family head off if they turn into zombies. Don't think that this shit is a 10-hatter conversation, because we way beyond that. When you have healthcare workers having those type of conversations at work, I had worse conversations toward them when they started opening their eyes, my heart started fluttering. Because I used to be the only one that asked these questions. I couldn't say, look, this do that, but that's how you have to be. Suggestions like, what do you think, guys? But now, they like, nah, fuck that. I ain't taking that. They done lost their mind. They started bucking up. They got that COVID head. So let me get to your comments. I hope we got some good comments. If not, it's okay. I'm not mad at y'all. I don't know if there's a lot of comments. We're not going to go through all of them. But let me start in the middle. Democrat man set where, okay, that's ridiculous. Because the messenger RNA was a test, and now you can regrow your hair with messenger RNA pills. This is it was a test. I don't know about that, but the messenger RNA and the nanotechnology is literally a test to roll it out in so many different sectors. That made me think about nanotechnology. Nanotechnology is not only just like a technology, but it's just the smallest particle that they can use to transfer medicine, use as a vector to translate information. They use a nanotechnology to give medicine. This is what they're trying to do. But this nanotechnology, what I'm thinking, these clots that we saw, that was post-mortem clots, that was rubbery as all hell. If you pull them out, they like a slingshot. We were thinking, some of us thinking that that's that nanotechnology coming together. Because if you go look into something that's comparable to nanotechnology, and they're using as a type of nanotechnology is graphene. Go look up in graphene oxide. Graphene oxide reacts with light, and it also assembles with light and move. Go check that shit out. Dead serious. Now, I'm not saying they put graphene oxide inside of us, but this nanotechnology can house a lot of things that may not be totally healthy for us. The graphene oxide is some of the elements that they use to create these small portions of nanoparticles to make them like stay together. So the graphene oxide, for instance, they want to use that and make it like a type of cloth. Okay. So this was one of the things I saw how they advertised it to us. They was like, graphene oxide nanotechnology will be good for healthcare, not only for what I was telling you, like the to track diseases, have this thing inside you, tell your blood sugar, maybe give you some medicine that you need, but also they want to use it for outside objects like clothes. They was like clothes that you never have to wash and some other shit like hair dye. Didn't you say that about how you said to make your hair grow? It was a hair dye and it stays on the hair longer. Go look this up because they're starting to roll out this nanotechnologies in different things. I was looking at this car spray and it says something about, it cleans your it cleans the light of the car, you know, the lights in the front, taking that yellow off. And it said, amazing nanotechnology. I was like, oh shit. I was like, huh? Because I heard the word nano, like, so we really have to pay attention. We really need to know what the CDC is doing. And I think that we need to go in there and fill these jobs up and say, yeah, Grace, and you were helping them by pushing the vax for 3 years. No, sir. If you listen to the story, I never did. I never gave it. I never took it. I'm not going to hell, baby. Nope. And I didn't catch the vax. I didn't catch the COVID. So CP, you wrong. God protect me. I was a COVID nurse. I did COVID in Texas. I did COVID in New York. And I came here. I said, fuck it. I might as well just stay right here because they made the unit that I was on is the MICU because it was the / MICU and PCU they put together so they could just use us and transfer us. They made that the COVID unit for the whole years. So I said, fuck it, I'm coming back home and I'll be right around the corner from my house and I could just go to that hospital and be treated like a dog. I encourage critical thinking, but you don't need to fear vaccines. Yeah, exactly, critical thinking. But I can't say, I don't want nobody to fear anything, but I just don't want you guys to be dependent on something that's outside of your body. We've been humans for billions of years on this earth before vaccine was here. God didn't make us against the world. We have an immune system. Even if I talk about Caucasian people having recessive genes, God gave y'all immune system. So he made it work. Okay, he did. People would try to tear you down for speaking the truth. Ignore them. Keep telling. Never stop. Thank you, Mr. Clint. I appreciate you. Beastwood. They did. Tore me down a lot, just like they do with you. You know what we went through, but you have to have tough skin and deep belief. Because if I didn't, I would have ended up taking that shit. I would have been mad. Ooh, he was being investigated for Neuralink. Yes, and they would look. He was having. You're talking about Elon. He was having. That's why that father and sonship thing. Thank God it broke up, but it's still so much money tied with them in contracts between them that he may still get approval for this crazy shit. Like neural. Let's not get onto conspiracy. Go watch my other videos so y'all can see the other side. Y'all know China got billions of AI bots that's ready, right? And Elon trying to catch the hell up. I'm done with them. Someone said those are completely different issues. I wish you told me which one, what I was talking about, because everything is totally connected. Everything is totally connected that I talked about. At first you may not understood where the connection come from, but by the end, I think I put it together. So this guy, I'm about to get off in a few. Security motor lizard, that name says a lot. It says critical thinking is at its low right here. I don't know what that means, but honestly, if the people who did not take the vaccine, if we go and get our blood drawn, a lot of us already have actual antibodies. So critical thinking was thinking here, because I got my lab drawn and I had a low amount of antibodies and I never caught COVID. So critical thinking is over here. Anybody who over here listen to me, they know they're like, this girl think. So yeah, I think you need to expand your mind a little bit. I'm really telling you my experience straight like this. I'm so excited to even be able to talk to you guys about this. Before, it would cut right off on the lie. Medical misinformation. That was under the Democrats. That's what y'all want? More of that shit? I don't want none of this, honestly. And on this note, as a separatist, I'm over all of this shit, both sides. And all I'm gonna do every morning when y'all talk to me, come here with Grace, Miss Grace. We're gonna talk straight. Right is right, wrong is wrong. Today, this particular argument for Trump, I can't support it. So, with that being said, our next live is going to go a little bit deeper into these sex allegations. Also, please turn your notifications on. I'm going to be making a few different videos. We got to put some stuff out there about the topics that we were talking about already. So I got some clips that I want to upload. So I want you guys to get the notification. Please hit the like button. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for letting me have this therapy session this morning. I hope that I didn't put fear in you guys. But at the end of the day, your immune system is very strong. If I could literally do what I did as a COVID nurse, didn't lose a patient, and came home to my kids every day, even when I was in New York, they stayed in New Jersey. And when I was in Texas, they stayed here. But when I came back here, I'm a single mother. I was literally stripping at the door, coming right on in, and none of my kids caught COVID. So you should not have fear. You should have faith when you finish this damn conversation. You better believe in yourself, okay? So, love you guys. Have a great day, and I'll speak to you later. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.